It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the TKW Podcast. I'm Anthony Corbo, joined today by Kyle Maggio.
What's going on, everybody?
And not your first appearance on the pod, but now soon to be joining us like pretty much every episode, Bryan Gibberman. What's up, dude?
I legitimately started this podcast.
You did legitimately start this podcast. Well, no, all right, because here's the issue. I got a gripe. Because the old podcast is still on iTunes, and we have no idea how to delete it. And so, yeah.
We've been trying to get that fucking password for 3 years now.
You can take credit over that podcast, buddy, but I don't know if I can give you this one. Anyway.
I wish I knew how to deal with that, but I'm technologically stupid in a lot of areas, and I definitely did not put that on iTunes.
Well, the good news is we've all come together here, and now this is the only TKW podcast, and we're back and better than ever. But unfortunately, that comes on the heels of a devastating loss to the Celtics, in which we again saw no minutes from Frankie Ntilikina. Folks, how do we feel about this?
Not great. We talked about a pregame. We played on the 2K Twitch stream, and I just thought in a game where, hopefully you're trying to coach to win. A game against a team with a lot of wings, talented wings. I thought maybe you'd play your point guard or small forward or whatever you want to call him. He's a damn good defender. You'd think you'd want to get him in the game, but evidently that was not the case. So, not fantastic.
Not fantastic at all. That's one way to put it, Kyle.
Brian?
It seems like the thing that's frustrating about all this is Fizdale's it's not far away from doing the right thing. It's really, if you just take Hezonja's 18 minutes some of Lee's minutes and give them to Frank, I don't think any of us are complaining right now. We're all pretty happy. Maybe we have some nitpicks, but I think we're pretty much cool with what's going on. So the solution, it's right there in front of you. Because
everything else we're pretty much okay with. Like I don't think anyone's really complaining that much about Cantor starting over Mitchell Robinson at this point. I don't think anyone, pretty much everyone's established that Mudiay is going to be the starting point guard here. Like, you got to obviously play Courtney Lee a little bit, but it's Hezonja that's the big fucking question mark in the middle here. That's just like, what has he really done to justify getting these minutes?
B. Scott Perry's draft pick from Orlando.
Oh.
And seems to be the difference, because that's the one thing that Frankie Ntilikina is not, is that he's not a product of this regime. And it just seems like they make it so easy to just sweep him by the wayside here.
See, my thing is, I don't necessarily want to panic. I said this on the pod over the weekend, or on Monday rather, and I don't want to get too carried away, because I feel like anybody with eyes can tell, when Hezonja was playing poorly and Dotson had played really well in his stint before, you would have to know, whether it's the advanced numbers, the analytics that we do have access to, or even we don't, that the actual NBA teams have, or if you're just using the eye test and watching the games, you knew that Dotson was outplaying Hezonja, period, on both ends of the floor. You just knew. You had to have known. So for him to continue to start Hezonja, to me, just seems like, and I called it like a JV tryout thing before in our Slack chat, but it just seems like it's just an intentional exercise at this point to just, I'm going to bench this player for a few games. I'm going to bench this player for a few games. And I know Brian feels differently than he does for the Dotson thing. And please follow on that after this. But to me, I'm just not there yet. It's the trade rumors that really make me queasy coupled with this. But the actual benching, I'm just not ready to lose sight of it. I'm just not ready to go nuts yet.
The Frank aspect I hear you on, but the Hezonja thing's more than a few games now. We're almost at game 10 of him starting and this going on. So as much as there's stuff that you like that Fizdale's doing, him correlating how with their 4-5 in their last 9 games right now, and that's with this starting lineup, him correlating how they've been playing better with Hezonja starting is something that's really worrisome to me. Like Hornacek would do that last year with like Michael Beasley. He just happened to be on the floor for like a stretch of play, and he wouldn't grasp the concept of what was actually happening that was making them do better, and he would reward someone that didn't deserve rewarding, and that feels like what Fizdale's doing right now.
Yeah, and I mean my only big gripe, I guess, is like whatever it is, whatever the reasoning is for why he's doing this, like don't fucking lie to us about it, man. Like I'm a big Fizdale fan. I say this like every pod now, but I was really pushing for him that we'd be hiring him. Like that was my guy the entire process. I wanted Fizdale, but don't just like blatantly lie. Like today earlier today after shoot around, I think he told the media, "Oh yeah, I'm really loving what I'm seeing from Hezonja on defense." No,
like
you're
when
not.
did that become the narrative?
No,
that seems to be
not.
the new thing is that Hezonja is all of a sudden this great defender.
Yeah,
from what?
From and I'll tell you what, there was one play in the Washington game where it was a transition, and he to his credit perfectly cut off the baseline. Like the ball, I think it may have been Otto Porter Jr., but the ball swung to the wing. They tried to take a baseline, he cut it off. That was it. That was like the best play, and he made a couple other like little basic rotations and shit. But to say you're loving what you're seeing from Hezonja is just a gross lie. Like if you're like, I love that he finally made 3 or 4 plays over 4 games, like then if that's your bar that he has to clear, if that's the improvement, then sure. But quite simply, it was not. It was a lie. He's lying right to our faces.
So
Hezonja 38% from the field, 26%. Right. Frank 33% and 25%. There's like no difference between the two of them offensively.
Right.
And that's really the like they obviously. I know Frank is a smaller player than Hezonja, but like not by much. And Frank's already got this defensive pedigree. He's got the wingspan. He's got the mismatches that he can play. Like I don't know what kind of roster reshuffling it's going to take. I don't know if you start him at the 3 again. I don't care if Frank starts or anything like that. I agree with what Kyle was saying on the last pod and kind of what we've been talking about for a while. Just start Dotson at the 3. You have so many wings and so many, I guess stereotypical 2s on this team that you're going to have to play some of them at the 3 anyway. And when you have all these guys you got to get minutes to, when you got to get minutes to Tim Hardaway and Courtney Lee and Damian Dotson and Alonzo Trier and ideally Frank Ntilikina, I just don't see how Mario Hezonja fits into these plans.
You could play 2 bigs less and find more time for the wings, but there's I get the having to play Cantor thing and wanting to get Vonleh on the floor. You have to have Vonleh on the floor, and
Vonleh's been the most consistent Knick for quite a few games now.
Yeah, so you can't just. I get if they think Cantor's going to be on the team for the entire season and they don't want to create an issue there. I can understand that a little bit.
So just before we get too much further, Knicks lost to the Celtics tonight, 128-100. We did see Cantor have 14 and 11. Tim Hardaway Jr. with 22. Kevin Knox looked pretty okay in the fourth quarter or so. He finished with 11 points and 4 rebounds. And then kind of quiet games from some of the rest of the cast. Alonzo Trier only had 6 points. Damian Dotson with only 5 points. I thought that he did not look good. He did not look confident in his shot tonight. But Noah Vonleh, like we were saying, 12 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Looks pretty good getting himself out to the 3-point line and creating space. I know that Kyle's been really all aboard the Noah Vonleh bandwagon for the last couple of weeks. Have you felt quite as strongly, Brian?
Yeah, I think he's someone. I know there's a lot of talk of Mudiay and re-signing in the cap space, but I think the guy who they really should be focusing on if and when they miss on all these big name free agents is Vonleh's the guy who I'd be willing to sink into future cap space to keep. I would love him on like a 3-year deal or something. His skill set, what really excites me, I think it could fit really well with Porzingis too, because he can defend out in the perimeter and you let KP stay closer to the rim. So, and the rebounding it's exactly what you need from that weird combination of ability to defend plus rebound, and what you want next to KP at the 5.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I was thinking a little bit tonight, and I'm in no way out on Mitchell Robinson, but there's a part of me that was kind of watching him play, and I'm just like, I wonder how much of the same space he and Kristaps are going to be taking up once he's back out there on the floor. But then I thought about Noah Vonleh, and it's a lot of what you were just saying there. It's just like, between he and KP, they both kind of possess the ideal skill set that you want for your two bigs. Like, they're kind of mixed and mingled between the two of them. But Vonleh's, both of them could stretch the floor. Vonleh's rebound and defensive prowess, KP's rim protection, it's all kind of mixed in there. And I really am excited to see what the fit's going to look like once Kristaps is back.
I mean, that's why I wanted Julius Randle forever. I was whining about that for like 2 years. I wanted Julius Randle next to Kristaps. I thought it was a match made in heaven. And Vonleh's kind of doing what I would have wanted Julius Randle to be doing next to KP anyway. So I absolutely agree with that. And I kind of hope we find a way to keep him. I don't know how again, if we get a big free agent, he's probably not going to be here. But it just, I think, would be delightful. I think that's exactly, and he's only 23 years old too. He's shooting, and this year he's shooting, I think it's like 45 or 46% from 3, something ridiculous. I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you want that next to KP?
He just seems like a natural fit. He's been the most consistent Knick this year. He looks genuinely improved from earlier since in his career.
He's shooting 51% from the field, but 46.7% from 3. His career 3-point percentage is 33.3%. So I don't know how to quite explain jump like that.
Just the way that he's able to like create space. Like, I see it a lot when he kind of runs into the middle, and then like while his defender is distracted, he's able to pop out to the 3-point line, and then I don't know. I feel like they don't really know. A lot of defenders don't know whether to close out on him or let him try to take the 3 yet. So I think maybe defenses will be able to read him a little bit better as the months start to go on in the season. But provided he's still able to be a efficient pick and pop option, or at least just can space the floor a little bit and get open and hit open 3-pointers, like, that's going to be a valuable player. That's going to be a guy that the Knicks should consider reserving a little bit of their cap space for re-signing. But anyway, moving on from Noah Vonleh, we had quite a few other players to discuss. I wanted to go into Mudiay a little bit more. So he finished with 17 and 6 tonight, but still somehow seemed pretty invisible out there. I don't even know what to expect from Mudiay moving forward. I don't know, I don't know. What did you guys see from Emmanuel Mudiay tonight? I should pick your brains first.
I just thought he was overmatched. That was like the biggest thing that I saw tonight. He was trying to squeeze a lot of passes into lanes that just disappeared at the last second, like at a couple of fast breaks where he tried to just bounce them low and skip them through. And Boston's a long team. A lot of, good athletic wings, a lot of good defensive guys. And they just, I don't know, it just seemed like they made his life miserable. He got swatted a couple of times, and which has been happening a lot the last couple of games. I think, was it the Wizards game where he just got blocked 1,000 times, or the game before that? I'm forgetting. But
in the Wizards game, he got blocked twice in like the first 3 minutes of the game, and then had a turnover. Tonight, he got blocked twice off the top of my head. He's starting... When guys get up into him, he has trouble creating space to get his shot off.
Yeah, because, counting stats-wise, he had, if you just look at it like that, he had 17 points. He struggled shooting tonight, 5 of 15, but then, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. And I don't know. To me, it looked like he was, just simply overmatched. It looked like he was trying his best out there.
I think Mudiay kind of reminds me of what Ray Felton was with the Knicks, the second round. And this, I'm not comparing like their level of play, but in terms of what he meant to the team. The Knicks just lack a guard that can dribble and create for others and kind of initiate the offense. And Mudiay, he can do that, and he can get them into sets, and he can kind of dribble into the paint and create things. He's as average as he can get, but because of the context of this team, he's a little bit of a necessity, and it kind of makes him look better than he is. And I hope, hopefully, unlike they did with Felton after that 12-13 season, they don't get tricked into thinking he is better than he is because of how this roster is constructed.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment, to be honest. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because Frank's the defensive, very passive guard on this team, and then Burke's the offensive gunner on this team. And there's nobody who's kind of balanced, like as a true guard would be, in a sense, where they're going to pick their offense and win the pass a little bit. And Mudiay is kind of that guy, and by default, that kind of makes him the best pure point guard in a sense on this team. So it does kind of enhance his image a little bit. I think we can all agree he has improved, how he's played, at least from last season to this season. But I agree with that assessment. It is a little bit rosier considering the need for it. I'm
curious as to what point in the game David Fizdale would have turned to Trey Burke if he had been healthy. Like, at what point does he see this offense completely stagnant? The Celtics starting to pull away, starting to figure out their game, the defense starting to slip. It just seems like the only real use that we've seen for Trey Burke so far this season has been, being deployed as like that kind of secret weapon that can come in and kind of at least change the flow of the game. But he's injured, and then we have one point guard out there, and we started seeing Trier running the offense from the point at a couple of points of this game. And that's when things got really stagnant, and it goes back. We can just loop back to the same thing that's on everyone's mind about Frank Ntilikina. It's just like, why not try to. I know that Frank doesn't have the playmaking chops or anything, but he's got to be better than Trier in there. It's got to be a better option than letting Mudiay try to skip passes across the court that are getting gobbled up by the length of the Celtics. This point guard rotation is just still so frustrating to me.
Well, speaking of Frank, I know we were kind of waiting and scanning Twitter for some sort of quote to appear, but I have a take off the Twitter timeline from Matt Moore. I just want to drop on you guys real quick here.
All right.
So Keith Smith, he tweeted, "Why is Frank Ntilikina not playing? I've been wondering how this would go. I've been wondering about this for about a week now. It just makes no sense given where the Knicks are right now, but where they hope to go. He's got to be a part of what they want to be, in the future." And then Matt Moore quote tweeted it and said, "The metrics for him are really bad, and this is now two different coaches who elected to not play him. That usually indicates something in practice or otherwise."
I mean,
I don't think Matt Moore knows what he's talking about in that case. Like, he has no information about anything. He's just making an assumption.
We are just also assuming that Frank is a much more developed player than he is. I'm also caping for Frank to get minutes. I'm not caping for Frank to, be the full-time starter out there. I'm not looking for him to play 35 minutes a game right now or anything like that. I just want to see him at least be able to get a comfortable shake, a fair 15 minutes, or even if it's that minimum, just to get out there, just to kind of try to break out of whatever he's in, because I don't think him sitting on the bench just does nothing for anybody. And, we saw 4 DNPs out of Dotson. I like to consider Frank slightly more valuable to the long-term planning of this team than Damian Dotson. So I don't know if the 4 DNP thing is going to be just a Fizdale, staple blanket rule from now on, but God, I hope he gets into the next game or the game after that if it's going to be 4. It's just, at what point do you have an injured point guard? At what time do you have, an offense that's going nowhere, and you just think that you're not going to try to play, this 20-year-old kid? Courtney Lee didn't look good out there tonight either, so you can't even say it's defensively,
The you could also find metrics where Frank does look okay. There's lineups from both seasons where he played with the right types of players that surround him with talent that he needs to kind of complement what he does, and they've done well. We saw it with the starting lineup that played for 4 or 5 games with, Mitchell Robinson, Vonleh, Dotson, Frank, and Hardaway. That lineup did well together. When Frank was on the court with Porzingis last year, the team did well. So there are situations where he's been involved that the team has had success on the court. I remember you brought up when Burke would have played. I think we would have seen Burke when Trier played point guard. I don't mind the Trier point guard thing from a developmental standpoint, and having him have to be put in situations where he has to read the court and make smart passes. but he's not good at it. He wasn't good at it in summer league. That's why he didn't look as good. You want Trier to just like come down and get the ball in a position where he can attack and score. You don't want him to have to survey the court. You want read one, go to the basket.
We've just seen nothing from Trier this season that shows that he's capable of doing that. I mean, like whenever he's in transition, he's not looking to pass the ball. He's just looking to go straight to the rim. And then even when they're playing, more of a half court game, you see him get the ball, kind of dribble into traffic, get trapped, and then do a full 360 pivot, throw the ball in the air, and it just gets. I've seen it at least 3 or 4 times this season where it just gets picked up. It's just
he does get.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say he does get trapped more often than not. I mean, he's still got to work through it, but to his credit, and it's not like an outrageous amount, but there have been some times when he's come in and the defense has popped out on him, and I've seen him make that little like Nash sweeping pass behind the back, kind of not his back, but behind like the defender kind of thing. So he's done it a couple of times where he's done a little like dump off, but it's not quite where you'd want it to be at, which maybe is why they're trying to trot him out there.
He flashes some passing ability. I don't think, despite the ISOs and all that, I don't think he's a selfish player, and for the most part, I don't think he takes bad shots. He has no problem if it's not there resetting and kicking the ball out. So I'm not totally done on his passing. I think his passing can get to a pretty acceptable level, and I think he plays team ball. He's not a selfish player.
Speaking of passing, is there another player that we were talking about before that you wanted to maybe bring up whose passing has impressed you the last couple of games?
Oh, yeah, Kevin Knox. I don't know his assist now. I have ESPN's box score.
They're still not good. They're still not good. The last 2 games were 4. Well, before tonight. I think tonight was 2, and then before that was consecutive games of 4, and then before that 0s. But
the ball's just moving more out of his hands. It's not – for a while there, he was basically touching the ball and going and shooting.
Right.
Now he's looking around. He won't just settle for that pull-up 21-foot jump shot with his foot on the line. He's being a little bit smarter with his decision-making. It's a little tough for him because when he's driving to the hole, he doesn't have the slightest clue what to do. If it's
None.
a clear path for a layup, like if there's a body in the way, it's most likely not going to end well for him right now. So that might have been what led to him just looking to shoot so much. But it's something he's just got to work through, and it's good progress to see already.
I feel like he's just like looking down at his feet when he's driving. It's just like he doesn't trust quite like the way he's going to move, or he doesn't trust how he can get around defenders or anything like that. I do like his confidence when he does pull up now, though, because it seems like earlier in the season I've been kind of talking about this for a while, but earlier in the season he was very hesitant to even put up the shot. He was aiming, and he just looked like he didn't trust it. At least he kind of looks like he's starting to trust his jump shot a little bit. I'm hoping that his legs around the rim start to go with that.
No, that's exactly what it is, because he's just letting it rip now. Like the beginning of the year, he was just very slow. Like when the ball would get into his hands, you could see like he'd give it that extra half a second or so to think about whether he actually wanted to go up with it or if he was just going to make a quick pass. But there was one play that stuck out to me in not this game, the Washington game on Monday. The ball got tipped out to him on a rebound, and he just went right back up with it. Like it came out to him mid-range, and then he just took one step into catching the ball and then just pulled up. And that, to me, was like a little thing that was encouraging. He picked it up, saw the space, ripped it. He was confident, ripped it, drilled the shot. And it's like, that's the kind of thing I don't think we would have seen in the first 10 or so games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he might have been. It's the difference right now, because he might have, in the first 10 or so games, he might have looked for another player to try to get that out to and, missed a perfectly, wide open shot or wide open layup or something like that. But, the difference is now he's actually moving the ball and he's doing it efficiently. He looks like he kind of understands where his teammates are going to be on the court. And it might have just been, a matter of that earlier in the season where he's playing with all new guys. And, he's just, adapting to a whole nother level, a whole nother, it's a new team. But he is starting to come around. I do really like his confidence. I think we're due for another pretty big game from him coming up, and hopefully we can have more of those continue, and he can breathe a little bit of life into this pretty stagnant offense. What else do we have to discuss from this game? Let's talk a little bit about Mitchell Robinson. Something I'm really not liking that I'm seeing from Mitch lately is obviously he's a rim protector first and foremost, which he seems to take all the way to the perimeter with him too. I've been seeing a lot of like pick and roll plays where he'll stop with the ball handler, and then when the ball handler pops up, he'll try to block that shot instead of staying with the big, which just allows for a ton of easy offensive rebounds and putbacks. He's chasing his block way too much, I think, out there. He's obviously got the foul issues. He's kind of been a little bit more quiet in recent games and at least able to stay on the floor. Where are you guys standing on Mitchell Robinson right now?
It's just with him. I just want to see him out there playing, man. And you're right about the blocking thing. And he also has to learn. I forget what game it was, but he got the flagrant for his feet falling underneath the guy and something.
Yeah, that's a big one. Mm-hmm. It's a couple of games now where he just doesn't give players space to land. It's causing him a lot of trouble already.
It's just he might not understand how big he is, and that his feet, they just kind of naturally go. He has to learn. It's just learning how to jump I guess it's a weird thing to say, but he has to kind of learn how to jump on his closeouts so his feet aren't going forward and he's leading with his hand and landing and not falling towards the shooter. But he's the guy where that 14 to 18 minutes, nights he's playing really well, playing 28 minutes, you just kind of roll with him and just let him learn, let him work through it. The best thing for a player like him is experience on the court.
I will say that there's nothing more beautiful than a Mitchell Robinson alley-oop. Like, just the way, like, he had that one finish tonight where his arm just goes all the way up to the top of the backboard. It's crazy. And he just like a guillotine, just brings it down, man. So I think Stone tweeted, like, "I'd get this tattooed on my chest, please," or something like that. And it's his offense around the rim, just the way that he can catch these lobs. It's good to see, especially considering our normal finisher in those circumstances is out with the torn ACL right now. And by the way, really kind of upset with TNT for showing that Porzingis injury immediately after coming back from commercial earlier today.
I could have went with that.
I don't know. Just feels wrong.
I can't wait till 3 years from now when Mitchell Robinson's stronger, and and if he learns how to control his body and maybe he doesn't have to be able to like post up or learn moves, but to just be able to catch the ball in traffic and kind of take one or two dribbles, a lot like what Capella's learned how to do. As his game advances like that, he's going to become even more of an offensive weapon when it's not just going to be the dunks. Because his touch isn't bad. It's just he's not strong enough to take contact yet, and he doesn't have that one or two dribbles to be able to get the shot off. But he does have decent touch. Like, we've seen him put a couple shots up and it hit the rim a couple times and fall in. I do think he's going to be the offense is going to come along with him. I'm really excited about him.
He does need to fill it. His shoulders are just so disproportionately large compared to the rest of his arms. It's incredible.
He's right about it, because he doesn't want he's talked about he doesn't want to get too thick, though, because he understands that one of his advantages is his speed and quickness.
Right, absolutely.
So finding that balance, and hopefully he does that well.
Yeah.
I read something, I think Reed was talking about it before, and I'm just trying to confirm it because the NBA.com stats are being a little bit wonky, but he has either more or almost the same amount of offensive rebounds as he does defensive rebounds. Like on NBA.com right now, it's being weird. So for his season line, it shows me a different number of rebounds, but both of them reflect that he has more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds. So I'll just read the top one. It says he has this season 53 offensive rebounds and 46 defensive rebounds on the year. And I think that's hysterical.
But it reflects. You can see that out there. He's never grabbing defensive boards. Never.
And I'm just trying to think of the last time I saw somebody who was like a monster on the offensive glass and couldn't
get
a defensive rebound.
It's very strange.
Enes Kanter's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Well, let me try to check his total real quick.
Yeah, take a look at it. Kanter is just such an obvious offensive rebound threat. Like he's just such a good rebounder all around that I don't consider him strange in that sense, if that makes sense.
And he grabs a little bit more defensive rebounds.
Right.
It is not. It's the difference isn't as much. I'm trying to think of that too. There's got to be someone.
Okay, so just for reference, Cantor's split this year is 114 offensive rebounds and 191 defensive rebounds, which is still
it's comparable. He's just so great all around at that. Like that's the one part of his game that's unquestionably, he's elite at. I'm trying to think of comps in the league. I don't know.
It's a good question, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of the answer. I have no idea.
Like
I feel like it's somebody random, like Reggie Evans.
Yeah, like it would need to be something like that. Like I'm almost thinking like Cauley Stein maybe, but like I don't watch enough of him to really know how his rebounding game is. I can only think of guys with similar body compositions, but it's a very strange phenomenon.
All right, so now in the NBA.com's updated in 128 minutes. The Cantor, Hardaway, Vonleh, Mudiay, and Hezonja lineup has a 104.9 offensive rating and a 110.4 defensive rating, negative 5.5.
Yeah, not great.
It's not what you want. I'm not going to sit here and try to blame everything on like Hezonja, but I just feel like a lot of your problems on both ends.
It's just the obvious switch to make. Everybody else makes sense to be there right now. Even Mudiay still makes sense to be the starting point guard.
Okay, I guess the better question here is, so for 26 games now, tonight was game 26, we've sat here on this podcast, and every week we've gone, yeah, but it's not time to worry yet because, Fizdale said 25 or so games. He was going to be intentionally weird about the lineups and the rotation, so... he gets a pass. Like, we would disagree a little bit here and there, but we weren't ready to lose it or be annoyed about it. So now we're at game 26. He didn't say 25 games was like the hard limit. He just said around there. Now, at what point does our patience run out with the lineups? Because, like, I'm willing to go to, like, game 30 where I'm like, enough.
Man, I don't have a hard line on it, but I'm really, really trying to stick by David Fizdale here. I tweeted it out earlier today. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. It's hard for me to. I'll give him he can play around for half a season. Honestly, I think I give him till like the trade deadline to really start to figure things out there because there's moves that got to be made, and you don't know what's going to happen with Cantor, and you don't know what's going to happen with Courtney Lee, anybody else on this team. But I would like to say I like to have seen him put something solid together for right now, or something that we can at least expect some kind of growth from moving forward. But I don't know if he's just gonna keep fucking around and trying to pretend like he's gonna compete for 45 games of the season. That there's really nothing we can do about it.
So I already lost my cool about it during the Bucks game, but I also started drinking 2 hours before, and I was like 6 beers deep. My dad was in town visiting. So we were at the bar, and I lost my cool about it when Frank didn't play, and I got really pissed off to an extent that was too extreme. I'm trying so hard to just be calm about it and not care, but it's wildly frustrating, and it's annoying to watch. I'm being honest, I wasn't mad they got blown out tonight because I'm so tired of watching the groups that, not the bench unit. For the most part, I don't mind it. But I'm just tired of watching that starting lineup, and I have no interest in wasting 24 minutes a night on it. It does nothing for me.
Yeah, it's like I said. There's, it does nothing. Like you said, it does nothing for you. There's no sense of this lineup growing together. Like we already know the pieces that we kind of want to keep around after in a couple of months from now or next season or whatever it may be. Like I don't see what the purpose of starting. These 5 players together who are never going to play any basketball again together after this year. It's not your best lineup. It's not a lineup you're trying to develop. It just doesn't make sense to me. Well, that was bright and sunny. Do we even have it? Is there even anything else to discuss from this game? I feel like we're just like this game was so quiet and. Like every player looked invisible. Nobody looked confident in their shot. Everybody was, like open. No one was taking open threes. Everyone was driving in and taking mid rangers. It was just
no. Timmy took a lot of threes.
Timmy took a lot of threes. I'll give
Timmy took 13 of his 19 shots. He was just hoisting threes up.
But it's like it's guys like Dotson. I'm looking at it. And, it's even Kevin Knox to a degree before he started to get. Even Kevin Knox was like he was still shooting that shot where he had his foot on the line or he had 1 foot in front of the line, and some of them were going in. But it's just like, man. I was very happy to see Tim taking bad shots from the 3-point line, because if no one else is gonna be able to make anything happen, then I might as well see him trying the bottom.
And at least they were threes. At least they weren't like bullshit mid-range shots.
Right.
This is why, and this is why not all of them were great looks tonight. But this is why when people look at his field goal percentage, sometimes I kind of laugh, because it's like you got to check how many threes he takes now. Like they may not always go in, but he's taking a lot of threes. Like tonight he was 6 of 13. That's 46%. And his
6 from 2.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like he just misses the difficult shots inside the arc, and then the rest of them are just 38, 39% from deep. Like if he's gonna take most of his shots from deep and then hit them at a decent clip, like that's okay. Like I don't ignore his field goal percentage, but I'm mostly concerned with his 3-point percentage. If he's doing that and getting to the line, then I don't care that his field goal percentage is lower, given how many threes he's taking.
Do we think he'll ever make a 2-point shot ever again?
Do we think or do we hope?
Are fast break dunks excluded? Because that's the only time.
Fast break dunks.
Then no, I'm out.
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever take a mid ranger.
No, but somebody else who impressed me was Vonleh, because the Celtics they're a good defensive team. They dig Indy a little bit, and Vonleh was just trying to bully him back a little bit tonight. That was one thing I noticed, just his physicality, which. If you look at Noah Vonleh, that's a duh. He's a very physical player, but he's built like a freight train, so that helps. But he bodied Irving in the post one time that made me laugh. There was a couple other nice, just strong plays. He made. I forgot who he bodied. He bodied somebody on the left block and turned around and just yammed it. So it was a 12-10 game.
He's looked good in this game.
It wasn't like a hugely great game, but it's just more of the same from him. That to me is important.
I mean, yeah, it's like we were saying at the top of the pod. He's looked consistent. He's at least able to pitch in a little bit of scoring, but that defense has just been there game after game.
His true shooting percentage is almost 62.
Jesus Christ!
I just can't believe. I said it earlier. I can't just believe his 3-point percentage. It's stupid. Nobody's talking about it. He's shooting like 47% from deep. That's ridiculous. Right. He's taking them every game. It's not like he's taking them once every couple of games. He's taking 1 or 2 a game. It's just stupid.
And he probably needs to start taking more.
Yes. I forgot. Breen said it on Monday's during Monday's game. He said that whatever. I think Vonleh had hit like something stupid, like 14 of his last 20, like low 20s threes that he had taken. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it feels like it. It feels like every game. So the last couple of games, he's been like 3 or 4 from deep, 2 of 3 from deep. Like he's just been drilling them. So he's another guy too. Like I whined about it with Knox and Hezonja and Vonleh to start the year. Like when they caught balls in the corner, they would hesitate every time they caught it, or they'd pump and like do this weird little like. They weren't trying to get you to bite pump. They were actually nervous pump faking. But now it just seems like these guys, when they get the ball, they're just letting it rip. So I don't – more of the same from him, please, because it's very, very nice to watch.
All right, Steve Popper has the Fizdale quote on Frank from tonight.
All right, let's do it.
Fizdale asked, why not turn to Ntilikina when defense isn't working? Now, here's the quote starts. Maybe I probably should have. I can always look at him. It ain't like he's out, though. Again, it's going to be a long season. Frank will be getting his opportunities again. All right, I feel a little bit better now. He could just be BSing. Like, Fizdale does not hesitate to lie to the media.
Yeah.
Like, they'll like him because he gives them good quotes and he's nice to them and he's funny, but he will lie his ass off and not care one bit.
The example here is Mario Hezonja. I love what I've seen on defense.
Yeah, and honest to God, I wouldn't be surprised if that's Fizdale trying to smokescreen something bigger that he knows about. You know, that's.
Do you guys think
he could be talking about it.
Seriously?
What's that?
Do you guys think he's getting traded?
I'm coming around. I am on my way around the bend.
I just don't believe it. I just to me,
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I refuse to say it, but I am. That train is rolling.
I think had all of this happened and they only tried playing Frank at point, they only talked about him being point, and it just didn't go well to begin the year, and then all this happened, I think then I would be firmly in the camp of panicking. They're going to trade him. But given how they're just like, some of the quotes were very ambiguous about where they wanted to play, I'm like, oh, Frank has to tell me, what he's going to be, like what kind of player he's going to be. And as much as I'd like for him to be point, he was drafted to be point. I think it would be great. He'd be a great offensive mismatch for a lot of guards in this league if he ever truly developed on that end. If he turns into just a really quality starting wing, I could not give less of a shit. It just wouldn't be possible. Just make him a good, mold him. He's a 20-year-old raw prospect. Mold him into whatever. He has the physical tools. He has the IQ. Mold him. That's your job.
The not playing tonight just set off like a giant alarm in my head. Like, oh crap, this is really going to happen. Now, I probably overreacting, and I like the quote. The quote from Fizdale there did make me feel better, despite what we just talked about with the lying. It's December 15th. The Suns can trade Trevor Ariza. Could I see the Knicks getting out of Courtney Lee's contract and using Frank and taking on Ariza for the rest of the season? That sounds like maybe you get the Suns have the Bucks pick. They need a point guard. They've been interested in him in the past. I mean, from a front office that didn't draft the guy, I could see why they would find that attractive, even if it's a move I wouldn't like.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. It's just the way that it happened today. It's the way that he didn't come into tonight's game, right? Like, that's the thing that really started setting off some bells for me, is that the Knicks were clearly getting blown out. There was no way to win this game. By the 7-minute mark, it was very clear that they were going to make up whatever lead they were giving up, and it was only getting worse. That's the time when you should be putting Frank in to try to build his confidence up a little bit. It's not putting him in there to try to get you to win the game anymore. Then it's just about letting him go, letting him run, like kind of letting him off the leash a little bit and seeing how, just showing him that you're willing to let him develop on the NBA floor too. Dotson stayed in the whole fourth quarter. He had 5 points for the whole game. You had all these other guys out there that he kept on rolling with who not only were they looking gassed by the end, but you had a full bench of guys that needed to come out and just try to get a little bit of run while you're getting blown out. That's what it's for. That's why there's garbage time there in games like this. And it's just the fact they didn't get there and all started making me worrisome. And like Brian was just saying, that's a trade that makes sense entirely. That's a trade I could totally see the front office rationalizing. And that's what's scary, because that's not a trade that I think that the Knicks should make either.
Cornette got put into the game tonight.
Oh man, you don't. I was gonna say it, and I didn't want to because I didn't want to get mad about it, but here I am.
I like Cornette though. Just I don't like the logic in him playing and not Frank, and
they could have both been in. There's no reason not to both play him when you're getting blown out with 6 minutes left in the game. It's just that is what's really frustrating to me. When you see the clear opportunity to do it, and it just seems like he didn't go in out of spite.
So, I think really at this point it's only one of two things, and one is supremely simple, and the other is much more complicated. And I just feel like, it really is as simple as they have whatever little experiment it is for how they want to run the rotation with just straight up benching a guy for a block of games, or it's B. They just simply don't believe in him, and they're actively looking to trade him and get him into a different situation. That's what I feel like. That's it. I don't feel like there's a gray area. I just feel like it's a really simple thing, and they have to just, they're not going to say that outright. They would never just say, "Oh, we're going to bench him for a couple of games," and he kind of has in not so many words when he's just like, oh yeah, look at what happened with Trey Burke and Dotson, but I just think it's that simple at this point. I almost don't want to overthink it. I don't know if I'm just trying to talk myself out of it, but I just really think it's. I still feel like once he puts his foot down and like, okay, well now my little 20, he still has to cap that 25 game thing. That's all I can think about. He's brought it up so many times. People have brought it up to him. I just feel like he's got to put a lid on it.
Yeah, so like we're talking about, Fizdale's got no problem lying to the media. He's got no problem making up the storylines as he goes along, which is fine. I don't really even mind that from him so much because I don't really, whatever you're going to say to the scrum to get him off your back is whatever you're going to say. But it's just, it's like, I don't even know what to go off of. It's just a blatant disregard for what makes sense for the team at this point. Whether it be 25 games or 30 games or 40 games or whatever it is, like, you got to roll with what's going to make sense, if not in the present, then at least in the future. And it doesn't seem like either one of those needs are being tackled right now.
So, go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, there's certain kinds of lying that I'm okay with, and certain you can't go out there and say, we're trying to trade him. You have to not be upfront. But like the Hezonja is good at defense type of lying is annoying. Like I covered the Suns and Earl Watson. I used to ask him like questions about what was going on the court, and he would stand there and lie right to my face. And it was the most frustrating thing I've ever dealt with covering basketball. Like it's really annoying. So I could feel for the beat writers in that situation.
I just want to put one little stat out there. So over the first two games, Frank Ntilikina played 65 minutes. And over the last 7 games, Frank Ntilikina has played 56 minutes.
I'm sorry, what was the first sample of games?
It was 2 games. 65 minutes
oh my God.
in 2 games. And in the last 7 games, 56.
Yikes.
By the way, the last time the Knicks played the Celtics in Boston and won, he was a plus 10.
Yep.
And he played really good off the bench.
Tonight,
I just want so well for this kid, man. I don't know where it's going to happen, but
just to put that into context too, we had 2 players tonight tied with for the worst plus minus on the team, and that was Kevin Knox and Damian Dotson with minus 19s. Honest to God, I'm just saying, like Knox, fine, keep him in. I don't really care what Knox's plus minus looks like at this point. I feel similarly with Dotson, but like. It just seemed to be the perfect opportunity to give Frank. I was just waiting for him to go in. It just seemed like it was right there lined up for Frank to try to get some kind of confidence back to his game, to have a prove it moment, to be able to at least have the trust that he's going to get those prove it moments, and it just never came. And that's what was most disappointing for me.
I'm curious how he's going to react to this if he does get a play with this team again. I just don't know with his mental makeup. He's someone who seems to have problems with his confidence when he's on the court. I think he's more skilled and a little bit farther along than we maybe see. And I think a lot of his issues are more mental than physical.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly why this was the perfect opportunity to get him to break out of that tonight. You had no consequence minutes just out there waiting to be grabbed. Instead, he just kept rolling with the same guys for no reason. Like that, it just seems like wasted developmental minutes.
I don't know. Do you guys want to look ahead real quick?
Yes,
at the schedule
I was going to say it's. I think we've taken about as much as we can out of this game.
So Saturday, the New York Knickerbockers are at home at the Garden. 7:30 start time, and they're playing the Brooklyn Nets, run by the genius that is Sean Marks. And their records are actually identical, which is strange for where these teams should be at in their respective timelines. But that's neither here nor there. Both teams are 8 and 18.
Kenny Atkinson was a genius.
Oh, he is, and Spencer Dinwiddie is an All-Star snub from last year, and should have also won Most Improved Player. But that's again neither here nor there with his 12 points per game.
The schedule's pretty easy coming up.
Yeah, because it's I think after that it's Charlotte. I think that's also at the Garden.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how December was going to be their opportunity to try to pull off a couple of wins because it only gets torturous in January.
Yeah, so it's Brooklyn, Charlotte, Cleveland, Charlotte, Indiana, Phoenix for the next 6. 3 at home, 3 on the road.
Yeah, it's these are the, if they want to go out and get a couple of wins, this is the time they're going to do it, because they're like I said, they're not going to make it out for a while without an easy game. So I feel like against Brooklyn it's going to be pretty winnable. They don't have Karis LeVert anymore, obviously. I think this could be a big opportunity to try to get the Knicks offense right. Against the Hornets is going to be interesting. There's a lot of storylines I'm looking to see there. The Hornets have been pretty sneakily okay this season, obviously led by Kemba Walker. But I would like to see. I'd like to have another look at Malik Monk. I haven't really watched any of him this year, and I'd like to. I was big on him last year. I'd like to see how he's progressing. Yeah, there's definitely some easy winnable games coming up.
Real quick, I think that's how I want to close this podcast out. Would you guys sign Kemba next summer? Given the state of the point guard situation here, if you knew you can get Kemba in his prime with KP sort of on the upswing of his, getting healthy and getting right, you got all these other young guys in the fold, Dotson and Knox and Mitchell Robinson and Trier and hopefully Frank, but a very uncertain future for the point guard position, whether you love Frank or not. I think we could agree on that. Would you just sign Kemba and get it out of the way? If you couldn't sign, let's say, a Durant or something, obviously?
I'd still probably say no. I feel like this position, like that last piece, needs to come into play once we know a little bit more about what Porzingis is going to be like coming back, what Knox is going to be able to contribute, throughout the rest of this year, throughout next year, and the year after that, like how quickly he's going to take to come on. I almost feel like that point guard position is going to be the last piece that they need to being able to, become a competitive playoff team again.
Before this season, I would have been a hard no. Kemba's he's doing it again. So what? In May, he turns 29. His 29 through 34 season.
You get his last
at $30 million a year minimum.
If I could get him for 3 years, I would do it. I wouldn't do it for 5.
Yeah,
that's fair.
4. You can't do 5. 4, so you're getting 29 through 33. I could talk myself. I wouldn't be like this is a home run, no brainer move, but I would talk myself into it.
Yeah, I just think the way I'm looking at it is this, right? Like just looking at who they have at the 2 and 3 and 4, and then having KP, like just the young stable of guys. I feel confident that somebody would pan out pretty well on the wing, so that obviously you go after the Kevin Durant and like the Kyries, like obviously you go after them. But I'm saying
is Kemba, is it 100% that you go after Kyrie over Kemba at this point? When you
I would, and I'm a giant Kemba fan. I'm a giant Kemba fan, but I would stick with Kyrie. Is that hot? Is that a hot take?
No, I'm about there with you. I feel like Kemba's just had this explosion this season that I think a lot of us are still wondering whether or not that's going to stick, even though he's looked really good. Like
last couple of years.
It's not so much a case of that he was bad the last couple of years. It's more of that he just seems elevated this year. I don't know. It's really a tough position to be in.
I guess the better question for the Kemba situation is this. I'm going to ask this, and I think you guys are going to understand the way I'm asking it. Do you think you can get more out of this Kemba contract? Like if you were to sign him and have KP and this young stable of 2s and 3s, do you think you can get more from that grouping, that roster, so to speak, or are you Mike Conleying yourself into it, where you're locking yourself into a very good team, but you sort of know where the ceiling is?
I don't think we know what the ceiling is. It would depend very much on what Knox and Frank become and how healthy KP was able to stay, because it happened. It's already happened once. The dude is all legs and no upper body. Like someone falling into his lower half again isn't really all that unlikely to. I worry about that with Mitchell Robinson a little bit too. The way he always ends up on the floor. These guys are very long limbs, and I feel like when you have really long limbs like that, it's always going to be more risky. But yeah, at your point, you'd get a good amount out of a Kemba KP team if you had the right injury luck. You
would just really advance your timeline a couple of years, and that's what's kind of scary to me. Is that I think that Kemba is going to be a solid starting player at 33. I absolutely do. I just worry that it's going to take until that point for KP and for Knox and for presumably Frank or whoever else ends up on this team to be ready to take that step forward. I love Kemba Walker. I don't mind paying that much for Kemba Walker. It's just I really worry about the timelines.
It'd be a nice breath of fresh air to watch decent basketball for once, though.
It pains me because I know that that's what we get, and I know that it's been so long. And God, just to watch a Knicks playoff team would be incredible. But it's just things are lined up so the stars are so aligned right now that I just think that there's a legitimate opportunity if we just have some patience here.
I want to watch a good point guard on this team consistently, like not a single season of fun, not a 2 or 3 week span. I just want to watch like 3 to 4 years of good point guard play for my team. That's it. Like we had that 1 year of Raymond Felton with him and Amari, those first like 45, 46 games.
Don't forget about 25 games with Chauncey Billups.
Yeah. We had Chauncey at the end of that year, and Jeremy Lin with his outburst, and like we have like bursts of fun stories that come and go, and I would just really like to just have the guy. It almost feels like the Jets eluding me with the quarterback for so long. Like we need the point guard. It's enough. We need the fucking point guard. Give us a point guard.
Longest tenured point guard of this decade, Jose Calderon.
Is that true?
No,
I don't know.
Hold on.
I think it might be. We need to look this up.
I'm going to Basketball Reference right now. No way. He was on the team for 2 years, right?
Was he 3?
Was he 3? 14, 15, 15, 16.
Oh, man. There's
16,
so
17 was Derrick Rose.
There's so many blacked out.
Was Calderon on the Derrick Rose team?
I don't believe so.
Think so.
I think he was out of there by then, right?
Felton was on the team for 3 years if we count 2 separate stints.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely count. I'm more considering total games at this point. Although Felton does have a couple of playoff games, not many, but a couple. Jeez.
Oh, that's right.
It's got to be the two of them.
He had the 12-13 year.
Yeah.
He got traded before they made the playoffs with the Amari team.
Okay, so it's Felton's got to be number 1 then, right?
Yes, you got 2 full seasons and to the trade deadline.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. All right, well, I feel a little bit better about that at least then. Jesus, though.
Derek Fisher was the longest he as a coach. He had just as many games as Calderon.
Man.
This is always such a depressing conversation. It always somehow comes back to like Chris Duhon.
Derek Fisher really has been the Knicks' best point guard and didn't even play a game.
All right, we got to stop this.
Like, wouldn't it be nice, like even if you paid a little bit extra in that year, in that age 33 year, he just had Kemba Walker. Like this is how I could romanticize myself into it. In an instant, it would take nothing to ignore the ramifications of it down the line.
Yeah, no, that's exactly my perspective on it. I'll just be like, I know this might not end up in a championship, but I've been watching the Knicks for 20 years and their point guards have always sucked. Like, all right, let's do this.
I could be talked into it. I could certainly be talked into it. All right, do we have anything else we need to cover tonight? Once we hit Jose Calderon, I think it's time to call it quits.
No, should we do a little bit of plugs and then call it a day?
So, we're doing a little giveaway right now. We should probably retweet that tweet again just to get it out into the open. But we're giving away. It's a couple of days old now, but the Giannis Step Over T-shirt. It's a TKW exclusive, TKW Podcast exclusive, limited run one. If you want to be entered into winning that, just send us a tweet of you subscribing and giving us 5 stars to the show, and let us know what your size and preferred color is, and you'll be entered, and we're going to do a random selection at the end of the week. So get in on that. Other than that, you can check SNY's timeline or go to sny.com, and an article from our own Eli Cohen will be up there. So that was real exciting stuff. We just got going with them today. Kyle, what else do you want to throw into the mix here?
We're trying to get back on the 2K show beforehand. So rough couple of weeks trying to squeeze it in from coming from our office jobs directly to covering the games and squeezing that in all the time. But we're trying to get back on the horse there, just to be fully transparent with you guys. But subscribe. It's twitch.tv/the Knicks Wall. Basically, we're just playing 2K, and just come hang with us, chat with us. Same thing as the Periscopes. We're just trying to slowly get that going.
I should mention too that the piece that Eli has up running on SNY right now is all about David Fizdale through 25 games. So a lot what we were talking about tonight. So good reading there if you want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into everything we've been addressing so far.
Yeah,
what system do you guys play 2K on?
Kyle and I run on PS4, but we do have Reed with Xbox. And does anyone else have Xbox? I don't know. But
yeah, if you guys listen to the pod,
what are you running on?
I played the last NBA 2K I played was 13. I don't think I've had PlayStation 3 was the last system I had.
I feel you. I still got my PS3 in the closet. I got a PS2 around here somewhere too.
I was pretty nasty at NBA Live 95 though.
It's a good one. Not necessarily NBA, but NHL 94. Holy shit, that's
NHL games are fire.
Oh, especially the 90s ones.
Check everybody. You just check everybody.
Oh man,
are they good to this day still?
Oh, they're
yeah.
even
I played 17 was the last NHL game I bought, and that was really cool. They put in like the ultimate team building mode and everything into there too. NHL games are supremely fun. It's like FIFA, except just with way more glide to it.
FIFA, I've never been a soccer person, but I hit a stretch where I played video games a long time ago. It's been a minute since I played, but I used to love playing those FIFA games, and I didn't know any of the players or anything. I just fuck around with that.
I had a similar phase.
FIFA's incredible. FIFA, honest to God, I truly mean this, and I don't think anybody ever believes me when I say it. I started playing FIFA when I got really serious about playing just basketball competitively. And I used to be just a straight up scoring guard, and I played FIFA for just a while, and I don't know why, but learning the timing of lead passes, it helped me in that game. And all of a sudden, when I got into the basketball court, I could throw these really great lead passes that I had no prior knowledge of ever throwing.
Oh, and, look at this. Kyle's a cerebral athlete here.
I'm telling you, it worked.
Can you actually hoop?
Oh yes, I'm actually very good. I promise you. I know a lot of people say that are online. I'm actually very good. I mean it.
Did you play college level?
No, I got asked, but it was a D3 school. I would play with the pickup guys a lot, and then they asked me if I wanted to actually formally try out, but I was working a couple of jobs, so I didn't. I also don't consider D3 anything legitimate.
No, but if you could play D3 ball, you're good.
I play with a lot of guys that one of my good friends. He went to UConn, and he was on he never got in, but he was practice squad kind of stuff, the Rudy Gay era. So I play basketball with him. We play in a very competitive league. So we a lot of old college guys, a lot of good talent.
I'm basically at this point in my, I'm the level of a decent high school player. And I played against I played against James Harden and basically all of his teammates all the time at ASU during the summer.
Oh,
and those dudes are. Have you ever played with like an NBA player like that?
I actually avoided it. Ryan Gomes is from Waterbury, so he's nearby here. And there's a Waterbury team in our league, and they for a couple of weeks had teased that he was going to come play, and I didn't believe it. So I got done with my game, and he was the league above me. I was in B, he was in A, and all of a sudden he showed up, and I was like, oh, okay, this is. First of all, he looked. You could just tell he was an NBA player. Like the second he walked in, like he just did not fit on the court that we were playing on, and it was hysterical. But this is one of my good friends that we ball with. He's just he talks a lot of shit. He heckles you. So he was just heckling because Ryan Gomes was his first like 5 or 6 shots, real quiet first half. They were down double digits. Second half, again, he's getting heckled, and then he just goes off. He just starts drilling threes from like 35, 40 feet, just like pulling up. He scored like 20-something points. These are 8-minute quarters. Like he's just going. They ended up winning by like 15 or 16 after that. It just it was something to watch. Like when you see an NBA player actually come in, like this is after I think the Thunder waived him, and then he came in like a couple weeks later and just he was there for like 4 or 5 games, and just kicked everybody's teeth in and then disappeared.
Yeah, Harden used to play with like 4 scrubs like me, and we would play against the entire like all 5 guys on ASU's basketball team, and we would beat them because people don't understand. Like people at that level, they in a game they just literally don't miss a shot. Like he could shoot from anywhere on the court, and it went in every single time. And it's just like, holy shit, these guys are just other levels of good at this thing.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'll say on this is I think it was Nate Jones a couple of years ago, like when people would rag on Dwight about his free throw shooting back during his prime years. He posted like a video of, I think it was like the Lakers or somebody were counting his consecutive makes at the time, and he made like 80 straight free throws, or like mid range. It was something stupid. He just kept drilling them, and everybody was calling bullshit. And then he was just like, "You guys don't understand. Like even the really like not good free throw shooters or not good jump shooters, like they're still better than you. Like they're still going to hit a lot of shots. They just, this is such a small percentage of players in the NBA who are elite like this that it kind of warps your perception. Like if they go to your YMCA, they're going to kick your ass. Period. Just very simply.
And just to put a bow on that, I'm very bad at basketball.
Yeah, I'm not good either. Kyle, he's being real, he's definitely a lot better than I am.
I played a single year of CYO basketball in. I played CYO basketball in 12th grade, and then went to an art school and played on the club basketball team, where our coach ended up abandoning us, and we never really had enough players to field a full team, so we'd often have to just like pull guys off the street who were wearing Jordans or something, and have them hop on the train with us because I live in Chicago, and it's not like we got buses from our school or anything. It's not like we got any funding or any shit like that, so we would just have to take the train all the way down, like way down south into Chicago, and go play against this team that was just like a breeding ground for eventual college talent. And we often got beat by like 100 points. It was just brutal.
You guys told me that story, and now I'm profoundly sad.
That was freshman year for me. I took over the fucking team as their coach and captain, and was also a starting center. I'm like 5'10". I'm like
by 100 points.
I'm like 5'5". Yeah, dude. There was like one game where like all of us were just like getting just yammed on. Just I remember it was like the toughest team that we were gonna play against that season. And obviously none of these games counted because they're all intramural. And like God, they had like a PA announcer there. They had like all the family in the stands. We were just getting laughed at the whole time. It was just straight up brutal. I just remember going back in like one dude's car, like the one dude who actually drove us there that day, and we were just like real depressed and passing around cigarettes. It was not a good time.
Really the last thing. Have you guys ever gotten actually dunked on?
Yes.
It's vicious.
It's horrible.
It's so vicious.
Oh no, I don't get anywhere near enough to get dunked on. I avoid it at all costs.
I'm not a very tall player. You've all met me in person, but I'm actually really good at timing blocks. And I remember one game, I don't know why, I jumped with somebody on an alley-oop. I really thought I was going to get it. And he caught it before I could get there, and I fell down. It was terrible. And then I think it was 2 or 3 possessions later. Honest to God, I got. The same thing was happening, and like I heard the crowd. Everybody thought it was going to happen again, and I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna get this one." And I broke up the pass. It wasn't a very good pass. I broke it up, but it did not erase the memory.
You
guys have never gotten all together and hooped?
But we've been talking about it for years.
Whining about it. Yeah. Since the team kind of got together here, I've been whining about it. They. So much so that it wasn't happening, and nobody believed that I could actually play basketball. So back when we had our WhatsApp group chat, I had to send them highlights after one of my games of me just dropping vicious floaters over people's heads.
Next time I come back to New York, I'm going to try and talk everyone into playing.
I'm game.
We can make it happen.
I will always make it.
That'll be our spring meetup.
In our Puma hoops?
In our Puma hoops. All right, I got to end this thing out. I got to edit this thing. You guys, thank you everybody for listening to us reminisce about some of us had good hoop stories, some of us didn't have so much. But we reminisce nonetheless. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to please review, give us a rating, 5 stars, please. Thanks to Brian for joining us. We'll talk to you again on Sunday, dude. Thanks to Kyle, as always, for being around. And we'll talk to everyone later.